upgrade system into what am I talking about? Okay, I'm talking about signal noise ratio, SN ratio. The overheads, they are still more or less going through this switcher box here. They're switched to B at the moment, meaning they're not switched on. Okay, usually B output there, or B input would be reserved for the experimental overhead surround, UCI or CIC UCI Tower Park, 1989, or actually it's a little bit earlier than that, with other selected cinemas. Okay, so it's still more or less running XLR outputs connected on the back to the DB 25 connector on there, DB25 solderless connector. There's pretty much still much going. Its signal is going positive and ground. Ground is always essentially connected ground, so you minimize hum and so forth. But I'm hearing a slight detection, but it's tiny, depending on how I measure it electronically on the signal output on an RTA, REM, or true RTA, whichever RTA, or on an oscilloscope. RTA, keep it simple, and see what the noise is. I see a little flashing in the inside the storm. It's probably something to do with the maybe the the Ethernet lead connected. So I was thinking, okay, so I know the signal's coming onto the SA10s here, so it's more or less unbalanced. These kind of technically, they only have positive and ground connection on the inputs. Usually you can get the signal very clean, so to speak. It's checking through each, where the noise is, or the electronic gremlin. There's so many variables to check. It's not the best, prettiest wiring there. And it's probably nothing really much to do with it, even though there are some cables here that I can measure with the sniffer. That's of course the light. Turn that off. Hey, it's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic. Ain't it magic? One kitty, one lick, one purr. Ah, he just had a gourmet meal. He just had one of these. My goodness. He's going up market. Bear, I just gave him a little teeny sample of what was left in the tin. Because Bajic needs to put some weight on. He needs to get some weight back on. Anyway, so... move it that way, move it over that way. This is very sensitive equipment. It's like Star Trek. It's like a tricorder. So there's quite a bit of noise going on. I might relocate the router thing there. I may relocate its positioning and cabling, as well as the power supply. I think it's not that power supply. I think it's the other power supply. It's a little bit down there. It's another cable that's coming up, okay, and there's quite a heck of amount of noise on that sort of thing. Incidentally, I wonder what the storm does. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. Turn a SDDS on. You hear the difference, the tone and frequency and so forth. Turn the SDDS off. turn the denon on. Oh, hark at that. Never heard anything like it. So turn that off. This is mainly going to be a more an external additional video switcher, as well as a decoder as well, because it'll still be able to go into the 8 channel. Once I got the lead all made up for the SDDS and get the CP200 and everything else. What about the CP750? Bloody hell! What about the DDS? And the DCX. God, bloody hell, it sounds like a bloody electric shave. What about the OLED? What about the light here? Lightsaber. Force be with you. I'm your lightsaber. Does that sound familiar? I think Ben Burt had one of these back in the 1970s. It would have definitely revolutionised sound design. Yeah, the sniffer. These are very cheap, you know, less than, these are, let's say for argument's sake, they're less than 100, okay? Whether it be €100 or whatever, they are cheap. They're very affordable. This model here that I got, so you can get these on eBay, Amazon. Very, very good. Very good. I've been skeptical about buying these sort of things and which one to get, and I have to say I find this one indispensable. It's got a headphone out, so you can then plug it into a headphone, so you'll be hearing sound that's a little bit more full range, because it's only got a little tiny speaker here. Okay, so it gives you a general relativity on the sound frequency. Right, what's the actual... I can hear a little clocking sound going doot. I can hear a zzz and a doot, doot, doot. So I'll turn that off. I can hear like two different sounds there, if not possibly 3. And they're all random, and you can connect that onto even the output here, connect it onto an RTA. So then you can actually hear and see the frequency. And then this is how then you get things low. Okay, you got to put in filters and so forth. But I was quite surprised with the... It's not too bad. It's a bit of a mild hum sort of thing there, and that's mostly the transformer, and mostly that sound might be coming from. And then you just move this thing around because it's so sensitive. So sensitive to, you know, you could put it near speakers. Theoretically, you'd be able to get a sound or some sort of impulse noise. Put it near speaker cables, you know, and those crackpot audiophiles out there, you know. Go and get one of these and you can test that bloody speaker cable to see how blooming noisy it is, or you can wrap it up with a load of baking foil. I tried actually doing that the other night with wrapping a cable up with baking foil. Did it work? Not quite. But I tried. And baking foil's cheap, you know. I was just trying to use it as an insulator. So there's all sorts of, you know, signal noise there. What my cat does. What about him? Well, actually, it's still picking up the light. Bloody hell, I tell you, that is damn loud. That is putting a heck of a lot of, you know, compared to turn that off. And what's this? Yeah, huh? What about smoke detector? Actually, I've got to turn because I'm still near. Go near to the smoke detector. And circulate it around. Yeah. Or what about this phone thing? And move it away. And also you've got a threshold level here on the side to adjust the sensitivity. So it's pretty low at the moment. I've got to adjust the level on it. So it still picks up quite a bit. If I go outside, it's the total opposite. There's so less noise on the outside. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. And come back indoors. Crikey. There's so much of it indoors, you'll be surprised. So even if I put this thing near the phone, and that's putting this near to the screen, I put it near to the back of the phone, more or less the same distance, and then I'll turn it around and move it near to the front of the screen. You can hear that tit, 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 and a bzzz, and a tit, tit, tit. I think that's a clocking sound. So, you know, Edward Snowden is absolutely right. The purpose of all this was thinking maybe trying to fit these in. Because you got input, which is unbalanced input signal there. These have got to be powered. And that was the thing that was bothering me. Got to put in other power sources. All the minimum this needs is 7.5 to 12 volt. So I can run this roughly about 7.5 volt, or probably maybe run it at 7 volt. It depends. It's say like trial and error. But as long as the voltage level don't go too low, then it probably wouldn't operate to its best. So it's also a noise filter as well, because they call it a Clean Box Pro. Are you professional? I'm going to rip your box down. So I was thinking, what if I were to find a way to fit this on the inside, like there? That'll look pretty cool, that would. Of course, I can still close the panel up. Okay. This would be more or less like similarly connected to here. These potentiometers, variable resistors. These control this function mode when it's in that mode. You can turn it off there, press that in, go there. Now it's operating in conventional mode, that meaning it would do the original left half, right half surround configuration. When it's in that mode, it's in Prologic mode. So it gives me my dog channels, woof woof, and my extra as well for sound going above or below, down onto the floor, depending on the baby driver. And you know, well, that's one film. Anyway, I was thinking of how to fit this. Well, that's simple. I've got double-sided tape in mind that will hold that box up there. Double-sided tape, it's very strong stuff, that is, and that could hold that up there, so to speak. Probably a bit of double-sided so it comes, so it's not too high up there, so it's just down a little bit. And it'd be stuck there, so I'll have the input signal coming in, which will be not connected onto the back here, which is the input signal. This here, that's the output lead up there. That's the outputs on the Phoenix connector. So if I get an input and then find a power source, I was thinking maybe I could use the power source from this that powers this unit. But that's 24 volt. So that would be very ill-advised to put that into there. That would go bang. only other way around it is put like a variable, like mini transformer variable, something that I could adjust the lower down the voltage. Because I don't really want to put more transformer things on the back when I could get a power source from somewhere else, get this powered. Or alternative, I think, is I think it's these ones here. Because I'm using the Behringer's what you call the clean box, or the hum destroyer. Turn the light on. There's one there. And there's a second one there. I think there's a third one in there somewhere. I can't think where it is. Oh yeah, it's back here. I've got 3 of them connected. 3 of them connected. So that's reducing some portion. But then there's also this. And this is passive. It's passive. But it's got filtering in it. Whereas this one is electronical. It's not really that much of a big deal. It's not really that much of a big deal. You know, to get things figured out. And of course there's the amplifiers, because these here connect down to these Behringers. So that's my height 1, left to right. That's my height 2, middle. That's height 1 in the front on the ceiling, left to right. That's height 2, middle, on the ceiling, left to right. Height number 3, left to right, on the back part of the wall. Ceiling. And then I've got dog channels, woof woof, which are in the centre middle. That's dog 1, that's dog 2, and there's dog 3. And then there's extra 1, extra 2, extra 3. Extra 1 is placed on the floor in front of the room, more or less where they are with the overheads. And then extra number 3, which is more or less front first row seating, and extra 3 is placed at the back behind the seating. On the back row it's placed on the floor on the seat riser. Got to get that rigged up, but that's waiting. I've got a third one of these, but I need to do a repair on it. I've got to strip it down and get to the main motherboard, locate the component, locate the part number, etc., and then order a new part, and then solder that in, turn it on, see if it goes bang. Like again, if it goes bang, then there's something, obviously another component that's failed. But I can locate one part inside by visualizing the other one, and I can see where the smouldering, because it's gone bang bang bang. Each time I turn it on, it goes bang. So it's not completely and utterly knackered. It's just a component that's failing, and it's just going bang. It's arcing bang. And then yeah, it absolutely does. Trips out the power in the whole system. It trips it out. Thank goodness for that circuit working. So that's an easy repair. Plus this one here, this needs all the relays all stripped out, replaced with new relays, because some of the relays are not turning on. So if I power this down, wait a few seconds, and power it back up, I hear a relay clicking. Those LEDs come on and they'll turn off in a second. Boom. It shouldn't do that. They should stay on. Wait. I can see the data light flashing there. That's neither here or there. And then wait, and they come back on. And it's okay. It's no problem. It shouldn't do that sequence. It should be hear a relay clicking, and then all those come on, and then they get a data light flickering, and then that's it. It should stay on. It's just the sequencing with the relays. There's a couple of circuit boards in there. One where I swapped it out from another one and put it in and then tried it and thought, yeah, it's definitely something to do with a relay synchronization. So whereas before I had to keep turning that amplifier on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, on, and eventually it turned on, but it's just gotten worse, and that's due down to the relays. A simple thing to replace. Relays are cheap. So yeah. I've got to get the surrounds signal input wired back up onto the THX, as well as the SW. I can monitor the SW output on the amplifier. That's amplifier mode. But if I go to processor mode, I've got to take another lead, very simple lead, which is connected down to I think here or here, any of these XLR. Put a ground connection on, so I've got to undo a little bit of the XLR sleeving, the plug, undo the that's not the same one, well, that is, basically undo it slightly, to be a little bit more than slightly, so I just undo it so it's like there, and just attach a wire to the positive and then to the ground. Be very thin wires, and they can still pass out through here. I can get them to pass out, and then maybe and then just connect them back up onto the input signals on the THX. So when I'm in processor mode, I can monitor the surround. I can get levels all balanced electronically, so that when they go to the amplifiers, they're all the same level, so to speak, theoretically. And then check, and then I can go over to amplifier, and then also check things like crossover slopes and so forth, and a little bit more, as well as connecting it onto oscilloscope. It's a little bit noisy on the oscilloscope when connecting up the scope up here. It's it's got a bit of a noise there, which I'm trying to figure out, but I can still pass that throughout onto the Room EQ Wizard or the True RTA real-time analyzer, and get a visualization electronically, so I know the levels. And then it's checking everything else, making sure that I'm not seeing something false. Okay, so I'd have to say, for example, maybe attach a wire. Only has to be a positive connected to an output on a speaker cable. You don't connect positive and negative. Good God, no. You connect that up into a bloody computer. You can say, hasta la vista, computer baby. Blow the thing to smithereens. Even if you're still connecting a positive signal onto it, you still blow the thing to smithereens. The signal has got to pass through something where it relaxes. Don't do it when you want to RTA it. Relax, do it, otherwise kabam. So the signal can go out from here and then to the computer, and then you could do some really clever electronic level balancing. Gosh, it sounds so different when I come into this room. So that's one of many ways to analyze and check. Most people wouldn't even have any of that in a home cinema, and they're kind of like guessing, like what everything else is, and the course sub bass and all that. It's got to be within a tiny few dB tolerance. You can't have a freaking sub bass up this level, and you got even if you're running full range cinema speakers. I've been to some cinemas where it's absolutely horrendous. I think one cinema was like, typically when 1999 the Phantom Menace was playing, I should have gone to the UCI at High Wycombe THX. I should have gone up there, and that would have been way better up there in SRD. I guess they would have been playing it in SRD. It would have been way better, because I've experienced Dolby SR there with Arachnophobia 1990, and that was absolutely out of this world. Even if the cinema still existed to this day, it would still blow this home cinema and every other home cinema out the water. Bye. It was whoa. It was really engineered well. Very, very, and wow. It would even blow scents around out the water. So I was like listening to Phantom Menace down here in so many different auditoriums. It was horrendous. Like, one cinema had full JBL, 4675A, a single sub. That wasn't enough for the size of the auditorium. It was a little bit underpowered. It needed a few more because they actually blew their sub up because they were overdoing it. At one time, they probably had to replace the bass driver, or maybe it was the amplifier, because it sounded like the amplifier was square waving. It was making what the heck is that sound? It sounded like it's reaching peak level, but square waving. So it's not like a pure sine wave tone. It's gone like flat at the top and it's square waving. It was a mess down. It was a mess when that movie was playing locally. And I heard it in so many different auditoriums, at the Gaumont Screen 1. Gaumont Screen number 6, I think Gaumont Screen number 5, that was Dolby SR, I think. The other Screen 6 and Screen 1 were in SRD. The ABC down the road in SRD, and their surround speakers at the time were completely knackered. Only a few of them, of the 6 speakers on the back wall, were only working. And then at UCI, I think it was still UCI then. Yeah, UCI, it was still called UCI Cinemas at Tower Park. I saw it down there. I think that's when they completely changed their surrounds, because originally they were overhead surrounds in those cinemas, but they changed it around probably around 99 or early 2000. They changed the surrounds, and at least I think I can remember. It's a little bit confusing how to remember, because they did revamp the surrounds. But it was terrible. It was like, one cinema, I can hear or notice a little bit more the low bass across the screen channel, the Foley, all the Jedi punching and the Qui-Gon Jinn smacking Darth Maul, boom, and then falling flat onto his back and all this. So, noticing things like that. But the sub bass was, the LFE track was all up and down. It was It was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous in all the cinemas that I was seeing it at. That's like one. That's two. The other one in Dolby SR, I ran out the cinema. The floor felt like it had a load of Coca-Cola all over the floor and popcorn and everything, and my feet were sticking to it like flypaper. And I thought, oh crikey, I'm out of here. It was terrible, absolutely horrendously dreadful. And get it in the home on Laserdisc in AC3 one day, or even if it was PCM Pro Logic, I was feeling the Foley. Boom. I was feeling the sub bass extension. And then you get it on SR, and then you get it in AC3 and then play it back, and it's like night and day. It's almost like being like at High Wycombe, but still a little bit more needs to be, adjusted, because it's a very technical science. But all the other cinemas were just completely falling apart. And it's no wonder George Lucas was sick as a parrot. 1980, Empire Strikes Back. What the heck is going on here? This is not what we heard or mixed on the dubbing stage. What's going on here? It's no wonder, because everything around, all the cinemas, were not being maintained, or everything was falling apart. You got every cinema has got all the same cinema processors, same speakers, more or less. JBL, which is about 85% of the market, and the rest is anything else. QCO, Martin Logo, maybe Calypso, or some rare still running Altec Lansing, voice of the theatre. Everything was falling apart, you know. And today, it's even like that now. Today, even with digital and Atmos and all that, it's like, it's deafening, it's ear piercing. It's not even exciting to watch or listen to a movie without having to put, or without me having to put earplugs in, because it's just too toppy in the mid and high range. It's deafening. If you turn all those channels or filter them all out, yeah, I notice the bass now, but the bass is so inadequate at the local cinema that I'm not even interested. I've only been to the cinema 3 times, and it's always been deafening, and I've had enough of it, and that was a few years ago. I thought, that's it, period. I'm never ever going back to that. I don't care if they say they are showing Star Wars. That's not Star Wars. It's going to be a CGI revert in, like, yeah, unless they fit an actual 35mm projector in and actually show the real thing. Oh yeah, I'll be interested. But then, you know, that won't happen. That ain't going to happen. Lucasfilm find out, they come down on it like a ton of bricks, don't they? You can't show that. What do you mean can't show that? You can't show that. You got to show this one. That's why I just can't stand cinema today. It's, you know, you get films that show in cinema, like films that you think is pop culture and all that, like say, like for example, John Carpenter's The Thing. That's not going to be the same thing playing back in the cinema. Oh no, 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 no! It's probably a revision version. It's like what like we got on disc. Okay, it's like you go back to an earlier version of an AC3 Laserdisc. I think it's got the original mono surround. It should be, that thing should be 70mm for 6-track mag, format 42. That meaning the surrounds are mono discrete. Format 43 is typically with split stereo surround. Actually, it is format 40. Format 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 and 46. All the other ones, 45, 44, 44, 45, 40. There are only differences between front wide channels, that's 5 screen, or what noise reduction, A-type or Dolby SR. That's the only difference. Otherwise, typically you refer something to maybe format 42 or format 43. And most people, even with home cinemas today, won't even know any of this technicality. They'll be completely in the dark and clueless about what content they're putting on and showing to their neighbour. And can they do proper sub bass in the baby boom channel, left center, right center? I can do that. I can just divert the sub bass to left center, right center through the THX here. It only take a couple of seconds to divert it. I can't do it electronically because I would have to make some very hand-sorry special more modifications, but it takes me a few seconds, and I'll divert channel B into here and here, here and here, and then I can have it playing and have Star Wars, you know, whether it's say like the 35 optical Dolby stereo version 424 matrix, whereas a Storm or any present AVR today cannot do proper 424 matrix. You got to have one of these decoders, or this can do a 424. I can do a 424. It can do ProLogic to ProLogic 2 as well as ProLogic. Of course, the CP200. The SDDS has got a 424 matrix on it. But any of all these new AVRs today, even a Onkyo over there, they cannot do proper 424. they're going to add a stereo surround fake. So Star Wars is not going to sound the same. To anyone that's not experienced the Star Wars boat, 1977, 1978, and depending what other year it opened in other countries, you missed that boat entirely. And you would think someone today talking about you need a 424 and thinking, oh, you trying to sell me something? No, I'm not trying to sell you something, because you can go and buy this equipment today so cheap, you know. And all you have to do is add on, because every AV receiver or something will have an internal 8-channel input, a 6 or an 8-channel input. I think this should have at least 3 8-channel inputs. It's only got a single 8-channel input. I think at least, at the very minimum, it should have at least 3 RCA, as well as probably maybe a DV25 input, so you can go balanced input, if you know what I mean. Otherwise the RCAs are unbalanced, positive and ground connection. Yeah, I'm just saying how it is, you know, and how everyone else out there thinking all these latest Blu-rays is, oh, Top Gun. I think that Top Gun 2, whatever it is, winning best sound, really. I think that takes the mickey, that does, because that sound mix on that movie wasn't that brilliant. Doesn't even use directional dialogue panning. It's not an epic movie. It's just something like, oh, they needed to make it just to say, like, put Tom Cruise relevant back on the map sort of thing. But it was just a lousy sound mix as far as I'm concerned. I think the original Top Gun, that's not a bad sound mix, especially when it cuts into the end credits with the F-14s flying off, and then the end credits start with the music, pop music sort of thing, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool how that ends. But with the it was so dull, and it looked like I was watching Star Wars, like, you know, the Disney Mary Sue sort of thing. It looked like they're doing a trench run through the mountains. You got to hit your target. It's 2 meters square. It's impossible even to hit that target. It just felt like an unnecessary movie, just like Blade Runner 2 was unnecessary. It's like Indiana Jones, crying out loud. Those movies were a 1980s thing, 81 to 89, and that was it. All the others ones they'd made, they were totally unnecessary, because, oh gosh, between the other one, it's almost 10 years. And now they're doing, oh, it's going to fail. It's going to be woke, and it's going to flop. It's not going to do Disney big box office. No one wants it. No one cares. I ain't certainly going to see it. I don't care if it's on rental for free view. I'm not interested. Will not be interested. I've seen the track. I'm not interested. Do not care. Do not want to watch it. It ended in 1989, and it ended fine there. And then you leave the rest then to your imagination. That is the character, the fictitious fictional character. You leave that then to the imagination. But mostly now, I mostly only play old movies. Old movies, I wouldn't say they're old. Because if a movie, I could say a movie that was last year, that's an old movie. You know how many movies there are worldwide? There'll be somewhere in the order of 5 to 6 billion movies worldwide. That's going right back to the early dawn of film, which is, I think, goes back very silent era. Very primitive, very early primitive stage of motion picture image. And that's probably, I think, late 19th century. Yeah. And you got every other then country then thinking, oh, heard about this marvel of ingenuity called film. What the heck is that? Here, I got one. Got a projector here. Got it from another country, of course. Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, let's do it. You know, and then every other country starts doing it, and now you got every worldwide country. You think of how much music there is, from original classical music, which is probably the original sort of music form. It might go back a little bit more earlier than that to, you know, being amphitheatres or humming or doing some sort of, I don't know. Probably goes back a little bit more earlier than that, but you know, classical music, and then you get into the other centuries. You get into the 20th century, and things start changing a little gradually. You get different, you know, recording, because you got all the notations of the composer's notes. So you get different composers performing a composer or a writer it's no longer sadly no longer here. Mozart memorized all his notation. He could write it down still, and he could throw it out the window if he wants to, make a paper plane and throw it out the window. He's still got it all up there, all the notation up there in his head. There's very few musicians even today. They can play an instrument, but they can't read notation. So everyone's different. So you go through all the music categories. Oh gosh, golly, it's more than film, more than television, because music has been around a lot longer than film and television. And music on the scale, I would say, would be like that. Film would be somewhere like that. Well, hang on. Music probably like that. Television probably like that, and film like that, and that's still in the billions, literally. You don't believe me? Go and try and load it up on your computer and all that, and then you're going to find that I'm going to need a bigger computer because I haven't got enough storage space.